Well, greetings, Pastor Eric from Zion Lutheran Church in Redmond, Oregon, and this is a Sunday preview for Sunday, January 29th. And on Sunday morning, we're talking about how the kingdoms fell. Northern, Southern Kingdom, the fall of the kingdom. When in the story, we don't want to get bogged down, so we're kind of going through chapters 15, 16, and 17 about God's messengers, the kingdom divided. Last Sunday we talked about the good King Hezekiah, and this coming Sunday on the 29th we're talking about Elijah in the wilderness after having a tremendous success, kind of showboating over the kings of Baal. We're looking at Elijah and how he had this experience with the still small voice of God. That's on Sunday in the sermon. In the adult forum, we're going to be looking at Jeremiah, who was a prophet in Judah, the southern kingdom, during the time of the Babylonian captivity. And in Jeremiah 29:11, he says, this is quoting God, and says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you a future with hope." So what does that really mean in the midst of the deportation of the Jews, the exile, the Babylonian captivity? That's what we'll be talking about on Sunday morning in the adult forum. And then make sure that you listen to there's more to the story on Monday, because we'll be talking about kind of a very strange story about the floating axe head. That is just a fascinating story that comes out of the Babylonian captivity. So it's kind of a complicated, interesting, fun, insightful story. So make sure you listen on Monday too. There's more to the story. Now, as we talk about the kingdom's fall, last week we talked in the sermon about Hezekiah, Judah's best king, led his people back to God for 29 years. Remember how he laid out that letter from Sennacherib, and he praised to God. He said, open your eyes, open your ears to hear what this letter says, that relationship with God that's real and personal. Hezekiah trusted God. He kept God's commands. He followed God, and because of that, God was with him. Hezekiah was a faithful king, wonderful, faithful king. But all these good people have bad kids. So Hezekiah had a son, Manasseh, his son, who took over for 55 years after King Hezekiah. Unfortunately, Manasseh, Hezekiah's son, was totally corrupt, unlike his father, who was good. The Bible says that Manasseh did evil in the sight of the Lord. He led the people astray and actually did more evil than the people around them, the pagans around them. Manasseh and the people of Israel did more evil than the people around them. Well, the yo-yo effect of following God, not following God, following God, not following God, continued through another bad king, Ammon, the son of Manasseh. And fortunately, his reign was only 2 years long, and his son Josiah followed him. Josiah was a good king. King Josiah was a good king, and with God's help, with some godly advisors, he helped restore some civility and some faithfulness and discipleship in the kingdom of Judah, the southern kingdom. Following Josiah, a good king, there were 4 bad kings. I mean, come on, you guys, learn something. God kept sending prophets over those 208 years saying, return to the Lord your God. You remember that King Nebuchadnezzar had 3 sieges against Judah and in Jerusalem. And in 586 BC, that's a key date to remember, 586 BC, the Babylonian army broke through the walls of Jerusalem, demolished the city, looted the temple, and led the people to Babylon. The prophet Jeremiah was one of the few that was left behind. I think I said he was in the northern kingdom. Jeremiah was in the southern kingdom. He grieved the loss of his beloved city, Jerusalem. He mourned the sins of God's people. Jeremiah, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, was written to the people who were in captivity. That's what we'll talk about in the adult forum on Sunday. Jeremiah is often called the weeping prophet because he wept again and again over the city of Jerusalem being devastated in 586 BC by wicked King Nebuchadnezzar, who tore it down, who looted, who did all that kind of stuff. It was a horrible time. Remember back when God led the people out of Egypt through the Red Sea? That was 8 centuries before. Now they were exiles in Babylon. Hope had vanished. Ezekiel was another prophet who lived and prophesied during this time. He reminded the people that God would one day restore them. Remember the story about the dry bones, Ezekiel and the dry bones? Is there life in these bones? Yes. The Spirit of God will continue to live. So, to illustrate that point, God showed Ezekiel that valley of the dry bones, and when Ezekiel spoke the word to the bones, they came together and they lived. There is life after deportation, after exile, after tragedy, after loss. God would one day make them a nation again, and God would bring them back to their land, because only God can do those kind of things. It's kind of a cosmic lesson for us to learn in the midst of whatever it is that we're dealing with in life. God can restore us to sanity. God can bring us back. God can give us new life. So read through the chapters 15, 16, 17, especially 17 as much as you can. Come and listen to the story of Elijah and the still small voice, to the words from Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you during the adult forum. And on Monday, just get prepared to kind of sit back and listen to a really cool story about the floating axe head. I look forward to being with you and sharing much more of this with you. Until we see you at some point, you take care. Bye-bye.